Good evening and welcome back to the Metro Detroit Poker Series. I am Terry Prince, your host, and with me today again, multiple-time champion Bob Williamson.
Great to be back.
We're bringing you the 2024 New Year's Poker Open. 54 players in this one, top 9 made to cash. It is our first event for the 2024 calendar year, and we had $2,970 in this prize pool today.
Sounds good to me.
Don't forget to click that subscribe button. Got more videos on their way. For our final table today, seat number 1, Henry Williamson.
No relation.
Seat number 2, Jim Angus. Seat number 3, Kevin Martirana.
Haven't seen him around lately.
Yeah, he's been working out of town a lot. So, seat number 4, Don Johnson. Seat number 5, Gino Catenacci.
Big cat.
Seat number 6, Jody Page. And seat number 7, Jeff Humes. Seat number 8, Mike Hines. And seat number 9 with his loud sweater is Pat Miller.
That's fantastic.
And in seat number 10, Mark Lewandowski. Rounding out our final table for this year, this New Year's Poker Open. Here are our chip counts to start. Henry out in front, 70,000, almost double second place at 38 for Pat. Mike and Mark right there in the same range.
Yeah, that's a substantial lead at this point, and you see Kevin in a desperate situation here.
Yep, only 9,000 for Kevin. Basically 4 big blinds. Start this final table with blinds of 1, 2, 2.
And Kevin's starting in the big blind.
Yep, so he's already got 4,000 out of his 9,000 in the middle of
Probably just have to
the
go with
table
this hand.
already. Folds around to Pat with Jack 10 offsuit.
I think that might be the Eye of Sauron on his sweater there.
It is definitely something. I'm just not sure what, anime or superhero or something. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not into any of that stuff.
Well, I'm going with Eye of Sauron, so Pat, correct me next time I see you if I'm wrong.
Jim in the small blind looks down at ace 5 offsuit, raises it up, and Kevin folds instantly.
Wow.
So gives it up. He wasn't willing to put the rest of his 3,000 chips or whatever he had left into the middle on that. So,
Well, we're on the stone bubble too, right? Is 9 people
yeah,
getting paid?
nine
So,
people get paid. So,
you know, you see stranger things happen when you're right on the money bubble. People just willing to, fold down to single blind sometimes, and sometimes it pays off, and you make the money and even go on a run. But other times you're just out a hand later.
right. I mean, and that does, definitely the money bubble changes your play. He even folded his small blind there. So he's down to about 2,000 chips.
Yep. And we've seen this. We talked about we're not playing for life-changing money, but there still is something to be said for cashing, right? There's incentive. You want to cash. Of course, cashing in these tournaments earns you a berth in the tournament champion, so that's important as well. So there's a lot of dead money in that tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the other thing too is getting that berth is your you might min cash, but you're getting all the plus EV out of that too. So that absolutely is a factor at this point.
Yeah, so a bigger factor for someone who may not have cashed already this season. You definitely want to cash when you get close to the money.
Yep. So here we go. Everybody check that flop of deuce 8 queen. And Jim bet out at it with his pair of ducks and wins a small pot, 8,000 chips. Just a bunch of limpers pre-flop.
Yeah, nothing too exciting there. But every pot you rake in is important here.
Pat looks down at ace 3, folds that. Back around to Jim now. He's been in every hand so far.
Jim plays a lot of hands, right?
Yep, and calls it with Jack 10 of clubs. It's a reasonable call to limp in with. Kevin gets it all in, had 4,000 chips left. King, queen of spades, so that's definitely a hand worth shoving. Especially when you only got 2 bigs.
We're going to use that term loosely, shoving, right?
Yeah, he only had 2 big blinds, so it's not much of a shove. So he gets 3 callers. So
Yeah, an excellent opportunity to quadruple up.
they have any flops? Top pair. Queen 6-4 rainbow.
Yeah, you can ask for better than that.
Jeff's got a pair of sixes.
I think
They
you're
do
going to
check
see
it all
you're going to see a
down.
check down here
Yeah.
with everybody looking to get Kevin out and hit the money.
Jim hit a pair of jacks now, so he actually bets out. So this is not
This
a
is
smart
okay.
play in
Well,
my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
you know,
nothing on the side to win.
there's nothing inside here. Yeah, you're right.
He does get everybody else to fold, so now they're heads up, but you got a chance to make the money and ladder up.
Yeah.
You kind of got to take it. And
Yeah, as it turns out, it would not have mattered. But yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of universally known that this is a situation where you check down, right?
yeah, except not universally known at this game. I see this all too often here, really. It happens more than it should.
Now, Kevin just quadrupled up, and then he goes and limps in with the ace four. Very optimistic. If someone raises, are you just going to go with that hand?
Yeah, and I mean, he's really in early position, too. I mean, he's only
Well,
under
here
the
you
gun
go,
plus
right?
2, so he calls with 2K, gets a couple of callers behind, and now Pat wakes up with pocket queens. So,
Pat's not going to stand for that.
No, he is definitely not going to limp here. He has announced raise, I believe. He put the call in, and he's still reaching for chips, and he ends up shoving over the top 30,000 chips. I think this is going to make a lot of people get out of here.
So it's a little bit of a big raise. I mean, I understand you want to increase it there when you've got multiple limpers. 30 seems excessive, and it's probably just going to make everyone fold.
Well, Don Johnson called it all in for less.
Yeah, I hadn't got around to Don yet. So
Ace 8 offsuit versus pocket queens. He's only got the one over. He's
So
a
in this
3-1
case-
dog.
right, if you're in Don's shoes, you're thinking the same thing I was thinking. Why is he squeezing with so much money? It might just be a random ace X. It might just be some Broadway cards. My ace 8 might have a lot of equity here. So, in this case, the overbet, I think, really worked out in Pat's favor.
Yep, and we found our bubble boy. Don Johnson went out in 10th place.
Yeah, and Don only had 11 blinds, right? If you think that's a total squeeze play, an ace, any ace really should be calling.
And Pat is absolutely capable of making a squeeze
Yeah,
play
for sure.
there.
Yeah, I don't fault Don there at all.
So here we got a couple. We got Jim limped in with ace 8 offsuit, and Jeff raised to 12K from late position with pocket fours.
Yeah, that's a really big size raise for the stage of the game too.
Yeah, 6x raise
It's-
with just one caller, so that's probably a little heavy on the heavy side. But
Now, Mark's probably thinking that's a raise that doesn't want to call, maybe, or I'm not sure what Mark's thinking, but if I were in his shoes,
yeah, you're definitely thinking about it. You got a medium to high pocket pair, and he does throw the 9s away.
yeah, and I think that's probably normally a jam for Mark. I think he was in the 30s, right, as far as chip stack wise. Yeah, so understandably, you don't want to risk your whole stack, but if you think that's a light raise, then you want to go for it.
Henry ended up making a
Yeah,
call.
Henry did look
so-
him up.
And you got a open ender here.
Now Jeff with no fear, really, on a hand that could certainly hit Henry, and Henry's open ended here. So
Yeah, 'cause
Jeff-
Henry was in the big blind, so
Yeah.
he's got all of this in his range.
So, a bold shove by Jeff, and
Henry's
open-ended.
actually favored to win this. Not now, but on the flop, he was favored.
And it pays off for Jeff. He had to be thrilled after Henry called. He must have thought he was dead, but to see him turn over open ended instead, that's a great feeling, right?
Yeah, with especially pocket fours. I mean, and the 9s would have won there, but
Yeah.
the pocket fours, you got all overcards, but they are garbage. But easily could have. That's the thing. Does he call the? And that's where the big raise comes into question.
Right.
Does the big blind call the big raise with the garbage that a big blind normally would call a raise with?
Right,
And
sometimes,
probably not.
Sometimes people will play on that perception and make an oversized raise with a huge hand. I know some people will do that. They'll put that. They'll mix the marginal hands and the biggest hands.
Well,
into
Pat just did
oversized-
that.
Yeah,
The last
you're
hand.
right. Exactly. So, you know, if you know that player does that kind of thing, then you know it makes it more difficult to play against them if they're mixing it up.
Yeah, so kudos to Jeff there.
Yeah, nice. Nice pot to drag right there.
So here we have Henry in it again with Jack 6 of clubs against Jim's King 10 of diamonds. And Henry flops an open-ender. Nobody has hearts, so the flush draw is not applicable, but they don't know that.
Yeah, now I know that. Henry was the big sack going in, right?
Yeah.
So that while that hand put a dent on him, it didn't destroy him. Now Jim hits top pair. Henry's still open-ended. So,
Yeah, so I don't think he's
blame
going
him.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't blame
Jim
him.
only bet 5K into that, 16K pot, so they both check it down
Yeah.
after the 7 on the flop. That pairs the board, or 7 on the river pairs the board, but Jim's going to take this down
Yeah,
with
I think
fire
that's
kings.
maybe there's a little value for Jim to bet on
Making
the
a bet on
end.
the river, yeah.
But sometimes your opponent called with that second pair or something, and then they just hit it. So sometimes a check back is a little more prudent.
Yeah, that's a situation where you kind of got to be worried.
It was-
that
it was a
if
wet-
you get called, you got beat.
Yeah. It was a wettish board, right? So a lot of times you want to. I think you want to have some mixes there, some bets for value and some checkbacks.
Pat looks down at Ace King, big slick, raises it up to 9,000. Folds around to Jim with pocket eights.
And I have a flying knee.
I could see Jim 3-betting this here. Or I could see him just coming along. He's going to have position if he takes the flop.
Yeah, he's in the cutoff.
And usually going to have position. Kevin behind him does not have a deep stack, so I don't think he's really worried what Kevin
It
does.
kind of looks like Kevin's already trying to fold his hand.
Yeah.
You can see he's just primed, ready to fold.
Jim's not even looking though. I don't think.
No,
That's just a flat out fold from
Yeah.
Jim. That's I'm a little surprised there.
Jody makes the call from the big
Oh,
blind
yeah.
with all in with ace 3. He was short stacked.
Yeah, for 2 extra thousand, I think. So not even an extra blind. That's a bad spot for Jody to have to get his cards in or his money in, but you can't blame him.
Nope. And board doesn't help anybody. Jody's drawing dead to a 3, doesn't get it, gets an ace, which doesn't help. Jody finishing in 9th place. Gonna take down 90 bucks. And Kevin with his super short stack laddered up a little bit more.
Yep, good job by Jody, hanging on to at least make the money. Jody's a pretty solid player. You see him a lot on these videos here. With he doesn't intend as much as some of the other people, but he still makes the final table with a pretty high frequency.
Yeah, I think he comes from the other side of the area. I think he's on the west side of the metro area. Pat raises this up with ace queen offsuit. Henry calls it with ace 9 offsuit, and Gino on the button with 10-9 of spades finally folds.
He's been silent so far, but no hands to speak of.
So we're down to Pat and Henry duking it out. Pat hits top, and Henry
Henry
hits
hits his card too.
middle top. So, yep, we got a pair versus pair here. Henry might not be able to get away from this.
Yeah, I think you're at least going to look him up, and he doesn't just look him up.
Wow, yeah, right.
He not only clicked the like button, he also subscribed, I think, to the hand. And he's going to get shown the bad news.
Yeah, he, wow. Just like that, Henry's out.
Yeah, and Henry had a dominating stack to begin with, right?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
that
so
was what it
that's
was.
a really a quick demise. But that happens, right? Even with his big stack, right now, even if he had his starting stack at 78,000, he would only have 26 blinds.
I mean, I wonder
So-
if his thinking there was that, maybe that Pat wasn't strong.
Yeah,
that
for
was,
sure.
That
Right?
that was
That's a C bet, right?
Right, exactly.
And I've got middle pair. I'm going to go with it.
Yep, but it just so happened that it was a strong board for him as well.
Yeah.
So we got four-way action here with everybody limping in, and Jim flops top pair.
That'd be the cash players.
And Jim actually that's top two pair, right? Is that 10-6?
Oh yeah, 10-6, yep.
So he's got a stranglehold on his hand unless somebody's got spades, right? And
Jeff calls with a
Jeff's
backdoor
kinda
straight
looking
and
to float
flush
him
draw.
here. Yeah.
Oh, he hits a 6 of diamonds, so he's
Now Jim could slow down and give Jeff a chance to.
Yeah, and he just did. He just did. Well, he bet
He bet.
5,000.
He only bet
so
5,
then-
yeah.
Oh,
boy.
no!
This is all in and a call.
Wow. Yep, Jeff not happy there. He got suckered in on that one and made his backdoor flush and lost to
Well,
the
yeah,
boat.
nothing wrong with what Jeff did there. Certainly on the turn in the river, a little bit speculative on the flop, but sometimes you got to float some flops in position and try to take some hands away, right? And Jeff just wanted to do that. He's a
Certainly not putting Jim on 6-10.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jim was on the big blind.
Right,
You know, so
right.
it's absolutely in his range. It was a check flop.
Yeah.
Everybody checked it around, or I mean, not check flop, but
Yeah.
limped pot. That's what
again one of the dangers of limped pots is
yeah,
you know,
you get the junk
you
that
don't
comes
know,
along.
You don't know where anybody is at. When you allow people to join pots with marginal hands, it's just so hard to put them on hand sometimes.
Yeah, that was just an unlucky run out for Jeff.
Yeah, no doubt. Pat what is he doing? He's pointing at the 3, or is he's moving the chip? I don't know what's doing.
I don't either. He might. He's got a pair of 6s, Queen Jack. 6 is going to take it down because Jim had no draws on that board. Backdoor straight draw, that was it. Six deuce for Mark. I'm pretty sure he's going away with this from
Yep.
under the gun.
Mark hasn't had anything lately to play with. Looks like Gino slid over from the end of the table to the other side.
Yeah, they can compress a little bit,
Make
make
it a
it
little
easier
easier.
to play, and then we can zoom the cameras in a little bit more on them too, so you get better shots of the players.
Some of those end spots can be tough to deal from, right? If you got, especially when people got the chips out there.
So this one's interesting. Jim just limped with pocket queens. And Gino raises to 13,000 with 9-7 of diamonds, and then Jim shoves.
yeah.
And Gino calls.
And Gino was
So,
committed, right,
wow.
based on how much money Jim had left.
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
Jim had a huge stack.
Well-
he flops a gut shot, and he
Oh,
hits it
boy.
on the turn. Wow.
So I think Jim only had 25, 26 or so, and Gino had already put in 13, though. So, he's financially obligated to call there.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Gino with that, the raise with the gap suited connector, I mean, he got extremely lucky on the run out for sure. But Jim was just sitting in the weeds with those pocket queens.
Oh, I'm
He
sorry,
wasn't
it was
going
Gino
anywhere.
that was short, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gino
It wasn't
was
Jim.
short,
Yeah, so Gino put his half the stack in.
Yes.
With 9-7, and when someone asks for the rest of it, you're gonna oblige. It's just it was a nice run out.
Yeah, Gino got extremely lucky with the run out. There was no way he could have put Jim on pocket queens.
No,
That was
certainly
a huge limp. I mean, Jim got the maximum value he could have gotten out of. That's exactly the situation
Yeah.
how he
Yeah,
wanted it
and
to play
I
out.
wouldn't even-
It's just the board didn't cooperate with him.
So Gino put a half stack intending to call it off. So I wouldn't mind if Gino just shoved there, without putting it.
At the end of the day, when
It
Gino
was the
committed
same-
to that
same
hand,
result,
it would
yeah,
have
exactly.
played out the same
By
way.
his raise, he committed to the hand. So
So we got
really
Pat,
unfortunate for Jim.
yeah, for sure. Pat here with ace 10 of hearts. Jim with jack 10. Jim's been really active at this final table.
Kevin's got an important call apparently. Sitting there on the phone.
Well, he's not playing any hands. He might as well talk to somebody.
You think he's like asking for advice? Hey, I'm really short in this poker
Yeah,
tournament.
he was using his phone a friend
Yeah.
help lifeline.
What is my shoving range here? And I've got, consulting somebody who's got the charts hold up, and there he goes right in. So, something with that phone call I think inspired that shove.
So we got ace 3 shoves with of clubs, and Mike looks down at king 10 of clubs. So this could be bad. No, he does. He ends up folding it. So Mark had shoved earlier, and Kevin made the call late. So we got ace 8 versus ace 3.
Certainly some chop opportunities, right? You
Yep.
know, but it's good to have the ace 8, especially with that flop.
Kevin's drawing dead now. So Mark takes this down, and
Place, Terry.
Kevin now eliminated. So this final table has gone 28 hands, and we've lost half the table.
It's gone pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and you see we're skipping ahead here to hand
Yep.
39. But yeah, that early on we had several short stacks right that had to be dealt with, and
Yeah, and they did.
well, Henry was the big stack,
Right.
and
He tried to deal with the short stacks and lost.
right. So yeah, he spread his chips around a little bit and then went home.
So we're down to 5-handed now. Mike now shoves with 31,000. Blinds are at 133, so he's got 10
10
bigs.
blinds, yeah.
So that's that
You're in
borderline
that zone,
edge.
right? Where
Yeah.
you can open or you can shove, you know. And it, you know, it depends on your game. You know, to me, it depends on the game conditions if I'm going to just open or shove. But
the shove here, is still significant
It's
enough. It's
significant,
got
yeah.
to be honored. It's got to be respected
yeah.
that
and look at
you've got enough to defend your hand.
Mark's got a pair here, and he's, I don't know if he has more than 31 left, but you know, you're ahead of a lot of shoves. You're ahead of all the ace X's, the suited broadways. You know, a couple smaller pairs will do this. You know, so it's very tempting. But on the same note, you know that when you call with sixes, you're not really a big favorite against once.
Yeah, I mean he happens to be against ace X in both hands. He just obviously doesn't know that. He's actually not in bad
Yeah.
shape because they both have each other. They have removal to each other's outs.
And the other
with
thing
aces.
is, and it's been raised and then 3-bet.
Right.
Right. So that
You
puts a
gotta
lot
think
more
those-
strength on Mike's hand.
Those sixes are really
So-
not that strong at this
Yeah.
point. We see the hands and we know that it's actually not in as bad a shape as it
Yeah,
looks.
it's a lot easier to shove with the sixes than it is to call the shoves, and especially multi-way. Right.
Yeah, because you could easily be up against a higher pair.
Yeah.
If these were tens or jacks or queens, that's a whole different story.
Now, I was just about to say I think he's going to let it go, and there he went and made the call. So, and he's ahead. So we'll see if it holds up.
And the other ace did fold, so and
And
catches the ace.
he still finds an ace on the desk.
Yeah, there had removal to it, and it still ends up. The third one comes out.
Yeah, and Mark's like, why didn't I just fold? I could, I knew, I knew this might not be a great situation, but at the final table like this, everybody's short. You get a
Mike-
pair. It's real tough to let go of it.
Mike gets some more than double up. Blinds are up again now, 2-4-4.
Folds. Outside that 9-7 hand, been pretty quiet.
Yeah. Mike actually folded high suited connectors, Queen Jack of Hearts,
So a little surprising
Five-handed,
there when
yeah.
you just doubled up.
and 5-handed. I think that's a fairly strong hand from late position too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the I think it was in a hijack.
Yeah, as it turns out, Mark moved all in behind him with a stronger hand. And the Queen Jack would have lost. Although you could argue that if Mike opens there, then Mark just folds his hand, I think. So.
Well, it's true because you're going to bet that you're going to bet it for a raise. You're not going to come in a limp.
I think, although Mark was so short, he might have to go with it anyhow. So. Easy for us to speculate after the fact,
Oh,
right?
for sure. I wish I could play and see the cards.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
It'd be a whole lot easier to play this game if I could see everybody's cards.
Well,
Even if I could see just one or two people's cards.
yeah.
So here we go with Mark shoved with Jack 10 offsuit for 16. Jim looks down at pocket sevens.
I don't think Jim can fold this one. He folded the 8s earlier in a similar situation, although it was for a bigger shove.
I mean, yeah, because this is only a 4x raise.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge. And Jim built up a pretty good stack.
Yeah, since that time. So
Sevens are up so far. All spades though. And Jack 10 does not improve.
that'll do it for Mark.
Yep. Pocket sevens are going to win this and take out Mark in 5th place.
So he held on, right? And nice job, Mark. And he's going to go home thinking about that pocket 6 hand. It's like, why did I call? But, it turned out to be the right call. Just an unfortunate run out.
Yeah, that was. He actually had better odds in that hand than he probably expected to.
Right, because and we saw the other ace get folded. Yeah.
So Gino looks down at pocket fives. So he's going to raise it up. Makes it 12,000 to go. 3x raise. Jim looks down at king 8 offsuit. Debating. Make the call as he raise.
Thinking about it.
Looks like he's going to make the call.
Yeah.
Calls for 8,000 more. Going to see a flop. 4 queens, 6, 2 diamonds. Nobody's got a diamond. Not a bad flop
really
for
not
Gino.
bad.
Yep.
What happened? Oh,
Gino bet.
he
Jim
showed his
folded.
cards for no
Yep.
reason?
No, Gino made a bet and Jim insta folded.
God,
So
God.
he just showed that he had a pair. Jack 10 off suit for Pat raises it up to 11K.
I'm not big into showing my cards when I don't have to, but sometimes people like to let you know, oh, I've always got it when I'm betting, right?
Right.
Oh, I'm big. I'm sorry.
All right, so Jim has come over the top with ace queen off suit for 40,000 all in. Gino folds. Mike's looking down at queen deuce of diamonds, puts that in the muck.
And Jim's only got 10 blinds total, but it's a substantial amount,
Yeah,
right?
and
When you look at the chips in play.
Gets Pat to fold, so Jim's going to take it down without a contest.
Yeah, that's a nice pickup, right?
Yep, he's got to like that. It's a good sized pot, 20K in that pot.
You pick up the raise plus the blinds.
He was on the button even, so
Yeah.
he didn't have anything and just got it all was gravy. Now Jim's going to look down at king 10 diamonds from under the gun. Still at 244, 51 hands into this final table. The under the gun in this case is also the same as cutoff. So you're in early position or late position, depending on how you want to look at it.
Right.
Mike
Certainly,
calls with the hammer.
yeah, Jim just limps in there with a really strong hand. He's open-ended. He probably won't pick up any customers here if he makes a bet. Oh, he doesn't bet.
Checked around.
Now he nails the nuts.
Yep, he made the nuts. It's Broadway. Yeah, again, he's not going to get any customers no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Neither of these players have any reason to stick around whatsoever.
Not at all. Just pull those chips right on back.
Yep, he makes a pot
Look, I got
size.
nuts.
Yeah, makes a pot size bet, wins it. See, I wouldn't have made a pot size bet there. If you want a customer, you gotta give them a reason to stick around.
Yeah.
And,
Well, the pot size bet on the turn is heavy regardless. Usually, all depends on everybody's stack sizes, of course, right? But
We got one brewing here. Pat raised it up a pocket eights to 12,000. Jim's looking down at
Yeah.
pocket queens. Raises it
And now-
25,000.
and now Pat's thinking, you just 3-bet me like 2 hands ago. You're 3-betting me again?
And Gino actually looks down at ace four of clubs, so he's got what would normally be a playable hand.
Yeah, I
but
think he knows that this, he's just lamenting it a little bit before he tosses it. And Pat has actually a better hand than the hand that he had when he previously got 3-bet, so.
Pat does make the call.
Yep.
Gino had folded. He just didn't want to give him up. He announced fold, just did not want to let go of his hand.
Did you see Jim? He stacked up like 25
Oh,
yellow
look at
ones.
that. And Gino's like, oh my God, I flopped a flush draw. And a straight draw. He has a wheel draw too.
Oh.
He would have been committed to this pot at this point. But as it is, we've got
Yeah, no one likes that king out there.
no. Jim can't like it at all. Pat does check though, which gotta help Jim a little
So
bit.
if you're in Jim's shoes, do you think how many kings does Pat really have here? He might have you're blocking the king queen hands, right? The ace king you would have expected to come over the top. Some king jack suiteds maybe, but all in all, even though it's an overcard, you don't feel too worried about it.
I don't know does he really 4-bet with ace king?
I think so. Just given how deep everybody is, it's you're just going to get it in. You want to see the full run out. my opinion. You know, and it's not going to be the spot that it's not going to be the move that everybody will make there. But I think just given the game conditions, it's just over the top.
Jim does end up shoving, and Pat folds, and Jim takes it down. So Jim's building up a hell of a stack.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
Jim's in really good shape now.
Now he looked down at King Queen offsuit. But Gino's looking down at Ace King offsuit.
It's Gino's turn with the big hand.
And Jim just limped.
Yeah, so he's done it frequently, right?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to want to raise unless he's got premiums.
So Gino's raising to 16. Yeah.
16,000. So I don't think Jim's going away. He doesn't. He makes the call for 12.
Guys, a little public service announcement. You see everybody taking the time stacking up all those yellows. You've got blues. Use them. They're $5,000. Use your highest denomination chip. It slows down the game if you spend a lot of time counting your chips out and not saying what you're doing. All right, off my soapbox.
There you go. I mean, that's true. If you're sitting there saying blinds are only 30 minutes long and we don't get enough hands in, well, that's one of the reasons why. Sitting out there counting out 18 yellows when you can just put in 3 yellows and 3 blues, you're in much better shape. Gino's going to take this 44,000 chip pot down.
It's a really nice scoop for Gino here.
Yep. Still four-handed at 244.
Now you got to stack all those yellows. Well, it's better than not stacking any chips, right?
I think so, and I think Gino's going to fold that 9-3, and he does. Mike's got the mystery hand. He makes the call for 2,000 more. Pat in the big blind. 4-3. Off suit.
Yeah, you may as well take a flop here. I guess you can get a little frisky with the 4-3, but depending on what if you think Mike's going to sometimes limp with some big hands there from the small blind, you just take a flop.
Oh, wow. Pat hits 2 pair.
That's a nice flop for 4-3.
You think?
And now you got to hope that Mike's got a 9, right? You just got to hope he's got a 9.
Mike puts 10K in, and Pat's like ringing up the dollar signs in his head. His eyeballs behind those sunglasses are ringing up dollar signs.
Is he going to raise here or save it for the turn? I think, you're both deep enough where you might want to save it.
He did.
Yeah.
He just makes the call.
All right.
10 of clubs puts
You're
another.
probably not getting any more money.
No, puts a couple of draws out there. You got a straight and a flush draw out there now. So
Yeah. We never did see Mike's hand, but maybe just a stab.
yeah, he probably didn't actually have a pair because I think if he had a pair, well, I don't know.
If he did
Pat
have
put
the
out a
9,
big ass bet.
yeah.
So
We'll never know.
nope. Pat looks down at 9-3 of spades. Into the muck. 10-9 offsuit for Jim. Makes the call. Gino looks down at Yog. He's going to complete the small, and Mike checks his big blind option with 7-4.
Yeah, a lot of times you see the button and the small blind just limp into you. You can shove your big blind without really much fear.
Yeah,
right?
because everybody had junk, and in this case, look at that board. Ace, King, 6, all hearts. Gino's got the 5, Mike's got the 7. Neither one of them are probably any good as far as they're concerned.
Right, they're not thrilled about that.
Yeah, and
No, the first blind is going to take this hand, though.
yeah, Mike's actually favored with that 7 of hearts. 5 of clubs. It's Gino
Gino's
with a
open-ended.
pair now.
Oh, sorry, Mike's open-ended.
Yep. Mike's got the open ender. Gino's got a pair of 5s. Jim's got a pair of Gork.
Gino leads out and takes it down. Yeah, it's not bad for Gino. He's like, I've got a pair, I've got a flush draw. Albeit a
And he's
very
got,
small flush draw.
and now he's got 4 stacks of high society over
Yep.
there. So he's making a wall of yellows.
Yeah, people aren't going to make a lot of loose calls at this point. Well, you expect, right? Especially if anyone's a little bit shorter than the other ones.
Jim looking down now at pocket 8s. We're at 3-6 blinds now.
He's thinking about it.
I mean, 4-handed, this is definitely premium.
yeah, it's go time with the eights if it comes to it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah,
he's deep enough where he doesn't have to do that. He raises to
25,
25,000.
So big.
It's 4x from under the gun.
It's really not. Like I said, a lot of
Okay.
times when people raise a bigger amount,
We've
they
seen
don't
this
wanna play
story
flop.
before. Look at this.
Yeah.
Eights, queens, sevens. Gino
That's
shoves
crazy.
for 118,000.
Yeah. So if you're Mike, you can. I think
Oh, at
you
least
can
seven's
get
got to
away.
go in the muck. Yeah.
You've got a reasonable stack, so Mike, and you figure, well, Jim's probably gonna have to call this off.
Now you're looking
Maybe
at do I
somebody's gonna bust.
yeah, do I risk my life with sevens because I
Yeah.
know that's what I get. That you're all in. Gino's the chip leader right now.
Yeah.
So
I think that's okay for Mike to fold there.
Oh, for sure.
For Jim, I think it's a call. I mean, we obviously see he's in terrible shape, but I don't see you getting away from this. Given
I guess it all
your-
depends
your
on how much
stack.
he's got back. He's got at least 35 back. Probably closer to
But
50.
look, with his
So,
big pre-flop raise, I mean, he really committed himself. I think.
you just got to know though that those eights are shriveled.
You,
Your best
know,
case
if-
scenario, you're up against ace
yeah,
king.
you're flipping. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, your best case scenario. Your best case scenario is you're flipping.
I think, there's times where you would do this with an ace five suited. There's times where Gino could have the pocket sevens or sixes, right? He's like, I've got the big stack. I
Yeah.
can make people fold better hands. I can make people fold hands I'm flipping against.
I mean that's true, but
There's enough of that in Gino's range, I think, where you're going to have to call with these eights. Unless Jim picks up something on him to say, yep, I'm convinced he's got
there
a
he
big pair."
goes.
It's a bad situation, right?
And he spikes an 8. Oh, and a queen.
Oh man, what
Wow.
you go from that sense that it's just awful to I spiked my set
What a
and then
roller coaster.
I got drawn out on.
Wow. Jim hits a 2-outer, then Gino hits a 2-outer.
That's such an emotional roller coaster there.
And so quick, too. There was
Yeah.
no waiting. They just threw him right out there that fast.
Yeah, now Corey's not dealing. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of
He'd
a
have
lot
had
of
to pause
pause
for commentary.
Yeah, but
Definitely had to pause for commentary if Corey was dealing.
yeah,
So-
really unfortunate for Jim to run into that hand to begin with, and then to have it unfold the way it did.
So we got ace 3 against ace 9. Mike all in with his ace 3 of diamonds. They both spike and ace doesn't help. Oh, the board runs out with 3
Yeah.
overs. So they end up chopping.
Yeah, that's another great example of the emotional roller coaster. Like, oh, I got in so bad, and then it runs out of chop, and you think that's so fantastic.
Right. When you know you're dominated and then you end up with a chop, you're happy with it.
Yeah,
And then, of course, the guy that had the dominating hand is like, damn it.
yeah, that's a terrible feeling.
Pat shoves with queen 5. Gino, ace king, insta calls.
He's live, right? Pat with his
Yeah,
queen
he's
5,
short.
but,
Yeah.
he's short. So, he's got some heart. Oh no, queen of diamonds. Sorry.
I mean, almost board with strip 2s out there. All I had to do was pair the board or
Yeah,
pair something
yeah.
else. There's a lot of outs with all those 2s out there.
Now Gino in really good shape here up against, Mike's. I don't want to say any significant stack, but it's short, right?
Yeah. Pat
So-
happened to win the high hand of the night this tournament as well. So he pulls
Oh,
down
nice.
$473.
That's
for his,
I haven't sniffed that high hand jackpot yet. I've never even been on the board like midway through the tournament with it.
I've been on the board, but didn't last. So here we are. Gino with King Jack of clubs raises to 26,000. Mike calls with 5-4 offsuit for 20,000 more.
That's a really heavy raise again from Gino.
And Mike
Mike,
spikes a
yeah.
5.
And you might feel like I've just got to go with it. right?
Gino's got a gut shot.
Yeah, and I don't blame Mike here. He's like, I got a piece of this. I got to get it in.
Gino bet out. Mike shoves over top of him. We got a hell of a pot here, brewing. 147,000 in the middle right now.
Oh, so Mike had a little more than I expected. At 76, what is it? 70, whatever, 3, 4. He still had close to 12 blinds, so he did have a.
Oh my, yeah, he definitely had chips behind, but he made the.
Yeah, he said, "I
his
connected,
range,
I'm
he
going."
connected exactly,
Yeah.
and
When your head's up, it's when you connect with the board, you almost always got to go with it.
yeah, because you could seriously have anything.
Unless you're super deep, right?
So Gino does make the call, and
Oh my gosh, you got a 10, a king, or a jack?
he's behind 6-4.
3 doesn't do much.
Oh, I got it. He got it.
No, but that 10 did give him the straight.
Yeah, just the nuts.
Yep. So Mike is going to be our second place finisher. Going to round this out. It's $560. Gino, our champion today, taking down $1,072. He hit the mystery bounty as well. Big payout for Gino today.
That's another one I haven't hit, that mystery bounty.
Yep, I haven't did that one either. So here is our final standings for the New Year's Poker Open. For Bob Williamson, I'm Terry Prince. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Peace.